It's no accident that sounds like you're leveling up in a video game. 48% of 18 to 29-year-olds have an online dating profile.
Make them work for it.
45% of people say they're more frustrated with this form of dating than hopeful.
There are so many people you can connect with.
Should I swipe right?
Swipe wrong. Swipe wrong. Setting the record straight on dating apps. Everyday people telling everyday stories of the swipe right world with your host, Koss.
Well, I know he had a good time.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and of course, good night. How's everybody doing? Hopefully you're doing outstanding. Welcome to the Swipe Wrong podcast. I am that guy. Welcome to the number one podcast amongst people who think pickleball is some sort of dietary program. I am your host. Like I said, I am that guy. I am Koss, and we're here. We're bringing you another story. This is somebody's story. I don't think people quite understand when I tell them I want their story. I want your story. I want your dating stories. Jay and I want to know about you and want to know what you've gone through to get where you're at. The dating stories are the whole point of the show, but the dating stories don't make quite as much sense or have as much value if we don't find out who the heck you are to begin with. But I want everybody's. I'm hearing things like other podcasts, you must fill out an application. Like you have to, like there was a couple people talking about, hey, I like to get, what are they going to bring to the show? How are they going to make my show better? You make our show better. All right. That's it. That's all there is. You bring you. We got the rest. You just bring you, your story, yourself. So let us know. Actually, I guess I should let you know. Let us know at swipewrongpod@gmail.com, 317-426-6616. And I it's that easy. Like it really is. Like DM me on Facebook. Like I had somebody who I'm going to talk to, I think next week, who said, wait a second, I can just come on. I don't have to fill out like some sort of survey. No, you don't. No, silly. What are you talking about? You be you, we'll be us. It'll all work out good. But what I would like you to do is like, follow, subscribe, send to your friends, let everybody know how we're doing. Definitely rate us. Let us know all the stuff. Appreciate all the love that we're getting. We're fastly approaching 100 episodes, which we didn't know that was going to happen. We all had a few ideas on what might happen, but still chugging along and gaining momentum. Anyway, Jay is the producer of the show, so he makes me sound good. He makes the show sound good. He puts it all together. Like I'm like, Jay, here you go. He's like, all right, I'm gonna make it beautiful, and he does. So mad love to Jay for everything that he does. And this week I thought was interesting because we talked to somebody who started in one country, who moved to an entirely different place, and is like getting their feet settled in this place, and had one of the more unique dating experiences that I have heard. I was like, oh, okay. So I was like, what the fuck? Anyway, I hope you guys enjoy. So you know how it goes. Sit back, relax, put your feet up, grab your popcorn, get it buttered if you want to get it buttered, throw some caramel on there, sea salt, whatever it is. Throw it at the person next to you just for fun because it's not going to hurt them, and it'll start some sort of, fun war. And if you're in traffic, please don't hit that person next to you. Drive safe, be careful, and enjoy Face Off.
Disclaimer: the views and opinions expressed in this program are those of the speaker and do not necessarily reflect the views or opinions or any entities they represent. This podcast is about dating experiences. It is not to say one dating app is better or worse than another.
So tell me your story on the apps, coach. What's your world like other than some jerk having you come on a podcast with too short amount of time for you to get something to eat?
Well, you'll love this. Let me start with this. I'm Canadian, born and raised, but I gave up my Canadian winters and I moved my ass down to the beach. So I live in the Caribbean. I live across the street from the beach and it's awesome.
All right. So now that we're besties, I'm gonna come like sleep in your guest room. So
There you
just
go.
so because you're like DR, right? Isn't that where you are?
I am. Yeah.
I've been there once. Well, no, I guess Punta Cana is where I went. And
Yep.
so
That's in the,
is it Rio Palace, I think, was the hotel I stayed at. And there was a lot of inebriation, and then there was a lot of water play, and there may have been vomiting. I can't confirm nor deny that there was, but God, it was beautiful. God, the place was so nice. How did you end up out there?
during the pandemic, I think during the first lockdown when everybody was binge watching Caribbean Life, I was too. And the guy kept saying, even you can live your dream on the beach. And I laughed every single time, whatever. And then one day I Googled it and I was like, shit, he's not wrong.
No kidding.
Here I am. Yeah, it took me down a rabbit hole. I did a lot of research and I looked what islands, what was a good island as a single woman, where would I feel comfortable and safe, and what are the easiest islands to get into, in terms of immigration. And so yeah, here I am.
How hard was it? I mean, was it like as seamless as you read about, or was there like,
It
oh
was
shit, I wish I'd have known that?
unbelievably easy.
No kidding, huh?
And I think when I made the decision, yeah, I'm going to do this, it's like the universe said, here you go. And it all
No
kind of
shit.
fell into place. Like even so much as I made a declaration, I said I will be living on a beach in 12 to 24 months. And it was month 19 that I stepped foot on the land here.
Okay.
But in that process, when I made that announcement and I said, I'm moving to Las Terrenas, Dominican Republic, and my cousin's husband reached out to me and he goes, oh my God, I've got an old like school friend who lives there. He's a real estate agent. I should connect you. So he connected me. He found me a place to live and he's given me the lay of the land, right? He was my first contact here. And, it just boom, boom, boom. Everything sort of happened very easily.
That is awesome. Like you kind of like, all right, I'm going to a whole different soil. I don't even know if oh wait, I know a real estate agent out there now. Oh wait, oh God, geez, red
Right?
carpet, yeah.
That's
like,
exactly it.
In communication, how like do you need to Rosetta Stone the shit out of everything or what?
Oh, heck yes. Google Translate is my friend. And I thought I would be okay. The funny thing is that I speak 3 languages fluently. I speak English, French, Italian. So I thought, okay, that will get me by because there are a lot of expats in this particular area, which is why I chose it, from France and from Italy. And so I thought, worst comes to worst, I speak, one, 2 of those languages, I'm good. And I did speak Spanish, so I understand Spanish quite well. I just have a problem speaking it because I'll go into Italian.
Okay.
I felt like a deer in headlights because I was like, blink, 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 blink. I hear you talking to me. I'm pretty sure it's Spanish, but I'm not comprehending anything you're saying. And I was struggling and I thought, what is wrong? Like, am I that far removed from my language abilities?
Oh, wow.
And I talked to a woman here from Venezuela and I said, how do you find the communication here? She goes, oh, they understand me really well. And I said, and what about you? Can you understand them? She goes, oh, I don't understand a fucking word they say. My first language. And I was like, oh my God, so it's not just me. She's like, no, they don't speak Spanish here. They speak Dominican. And it's right, like they're right. There are a lot of colloquialisms and it's sort of a dialect of Spanish. So I've had to learn a whole new language and I'm better at it. I'm communicating.
Oh, sure. Yeah. You're absorbing it, right? I mean, that's kind of, when in Rome, you kind of have to kind of absorb it.
Sink or swim.
Yeah, right. I mean, I got cerveza and baño. I'm set. I'm good. I'm set. I got it all figured out. I'm like, all right, beer, bathroom, good. All right, cool. Dinero, shit. Okay, all right. That's a whole different story. All right, there we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you love it?
I do. It's very different living here versus, when you vacation, obviously.
Yeah.
So you learn things very quickly and it can be a little disheartening at times, especially trying to figure out what the culture is and how they view you in
Sure.
the land as well, right? Like
Yeah.
there's a lot of things you have to acclimatize to. So, there's some things I had to get used to. People often say to me, well, what did you expect? You're living in a third world country, but it's not a third world country. It's
Yeah.
actually quite a wealthy, developing country here.
Yeah.
It's not spread out amongst the people. So there's a lot of desperation, and desperate people do desperate things. So there's a lot of theft. And I don't
Sure.
mean theft as in they'll come and pickpocket you. I mean theft as in they'll look you in the eye, tell you something is a price that's 5-6 times more than what the locals will pay.
Oh, I got you.
And you'll
Take
catch
advantage.
them in a lie, and they'll acknowledge that they've been caught, and they don't care. It's
Oh, wow.
somewhat of a
That's interesting.
narcissistic country, and that can be frustrating at times. So,
That's
you pay
interesting.
gringo prices and you accept
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
such as the
So I live in the Midwest, but I'm from Southern California. And so big Hispanic culture or Mexican culture, everyone coming up. I
Yeah.
lived for 2 years in Miami, and I was like, I'll be fine. Miami's cool. Like I, acclimate just like I do to the Hispanic culture in Los Angeles. No, 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 no. Totally different. Like it is like what I didn't realize is probably a smidgen of what you're facing. Like when I went to Miami, North Miami Beach is where it was. So it was right on the water. It was there was no Cuban culture adapting to American culture. There was you better adapt to the Cuban culture or you're not gonna fit in. And I didn't expect that going in, it's my own ignorance, I guess, my own nuance. A beautiful city, most uninhibited place I've ever lived in my life, beautiful people, all that. But like I was definitely the outsider in America in that city, which is God, like a smidgen. Like it's like you're walking through their version of Walmart and the overhead pages are in a different language. The whole communication is different. And you're the one looked at the outcast. That's a little bit, is that, at least a glimpse of what you're going through?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what's funny is, I mean, for the most part, the expat community here is very supportive of each other. But there are some who have very strong views. And so if you express your frustration with something, their knee-jerk reaction is, well, go back to your own country then.
Yeah, sure. But because that's like the knee-jerk reaction to like everybody out here. Like, oh, you don't like it here, go, the boat sinking and stuff. Yeah. So yeah.
And that's not even the locals say, that's other expats, right?
No kidding, really.
Divide too amongst some of the expats because the French think that everybody's come here and they're ruining everything because they were here first. And the Italians are like, no, we were here first, right? Like it's this whole mentality. And really, when I feel when somebody's expressing their frustration, it's because you feel like you're living 50 years ago. Like they're that far behind in infrastructure and stuff.
Sure.
Time. So you feel like maybe I can give them a bit of wisdom because I've lived elsewhere where they're more advanced.
Yeah.
Let me help you catch up. And oh no, it doesn't go well.
That seems like they think, do they see that as like pretentious and like you're a snob and like you know more than us, you must be like, or something along those lines? Or am I crazy?
Well, the thing is that the Dominicans don't really care. They do things their way. They'll do it at their time. And the thing is that there's not definite schooling where trades are concerned. So they learn by doing it. So a mechanic learns by making mistakes. So you're taking in, well, I don't have a vehicle, but people, golf carts break down all the time. Why? Because they're not being fixed properly or
YouTube, bro. YouTube. Oh, yeah, no, I got you.
Yeah.
That's how I fix everything. So, that I guess that leads to like kind of the concept of like, what's dating life like?
I haven't even attempted that here. And it's funny because a lot of people upon my arrival were like, don't get involved with a Dominican man. And their reasoning is simply from seeing what's going on. And there is a big culture here where they will attach themselves to an expat because they can get money.
Okay.
They have their rent paid for. They can, and they do. People will come, think they've fallen in love with somebody here, and they're like, "I'll pay your rent for you because it's not expensive here.
Right.
I'll give you money. I'll send you money." And then they take the money and they take it back to their wife and 3 kids. Like that is common here. I'm not saying that
Right. Right.
to
Right.
for
The hustle's
any
real.
kind of right. It is. It is
Yeah.
very real. And I know people who've had that experience, and it happens both ways too, right?
Right.
It's not just the men preying on the women. There are a lot of older men who have very young Dominican girlfriends,
Sure.
and they do it on purpose. And I've had some Dominican women tell me that they search for the older expat male because they know they'll be taken care of.
So expat, what is I've gathered what that is, but will you define that, please?
Yeah, an expatriate, somebody who is
Gotcha.
from another country living
Oh,
in
gotcha. Okay, fair enough. Like
the
I bet like 50% of the older guys right now are booking tickets. That's all I'm saying right now. They're like, oh wait, younger girl, cool, no big deal. It's all right. My wife's already taken all that anyway, so I might as well have some younger one take it too. And hang on, let me refill my Cialis. All right, I'm on my way. I got it. So
Yeah,
yeah,
and it's
that kind of
very
makes sense.
common for women here to have multiple children by multiple partners they've had.
Yeah. 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 And the
You know,
kid rocks
and
them.
that's the culture. I'm not saying that to slander. I'm
No.
saying that's my experience of people I've met. They'll tell me as much, right? And
Yeah.
that's their experience.
That's a
So
pretty big leap of faith you took. That's pretty awesome.
it is a leap of faith. Sometimes I'm like, what was I thinking?
Yeah.
But then I go to the ocean and cry it out, and I'm like, I'm good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. My tears are going seawater now. I'm not going, yeah. Forget this frozen tundra that's up here in Canada. This is salt water.
Exactly. That's exactly it. Oh, poor me. Let me go to the
Yeah.
beach.
In a second. I'm toes in the sand. So you're just getting over strep, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. So being in Dominican and all that, how easy was it to get medical and everything? I mean, just like a normal trip like it would be in Canada or US?
It's very similar to the US. So money talks
Okay.
where the medical system is concerned here. And I didn't want to go to a doctor
Okay.
because there's a lot of chaos in the medical system here as well. And
Yeah,
that's
so
simply my experience of witnessing people I know who've been in accidents. One ended up dying. Another one
oh
ended up
wow.
having to go back to Italy because his leg was so infected. They almost were going to amputate his leg from a broken leg from a motorcycle accident. They're
God.
crazy drivers in this country. I lived downtown Toronto for 23 years, and I drove in a metropolitan city. I do not want to drive in this small beach town because
Sure.
they are crazy
Yeah.
on the roads. It's absolutely insane.
Yeah.
So my apprehension in seeking out anything medical is simply because if you don't have to, then I don't want to.
Yeah, that's fair.
And I do have insurance, so insurance would cover the majority of what I needed. But the good thing is that you can get pretty much any prescription medication over the counter here.
No, that's insane. That's insane.
Yeah.
There's no
So
regulation for it.
yeah, no, there wasn't. And I knew I had strep from the many times I've had it in the past. And I contacted my neighbor and I said, can you get antibiotics? She's like, yep. So she called, got them. They were delivered to me, boom, in less than an
Wow.
hour. I had
They were delivered to you. What do you Uber Eats your really?
pretty much that you can
Yeah.
order almost anything. I ordered my
Uh,
ring light and they delivered it. You can order
there's
groceries and they
there's
deliver
another
it.
25% of the audience is going, I'm gonna go get my scripts down in the DR right now. Here I'm going.
Right? That's
Dang.
exactly it. Now, I mean, are the prices any better? They're about the same. It's not like you're saving money getting any medication here. Although sometimes I wonder, is that my gringo price?
Yeah, fair.
Are they charging
Yeah.
me more because they know I'm an expat? But I got them quickly and I'm feeling much better. So
That's good. That's good.
I
So
survived.
so how much is rent down there?
So I'm in a 2-bedroom condo in a
Okay.
complex. There's probably about 100 apartments. They're not all full because they do vacation rentals as well. So there's probably, from what I'm told, there's 37 of us that live here permanently.
Okay.
And so for this 2-bedroom condo, in this complex that's well maintained, I have 2 pools and I'm across the street from the beach. It's $900 US a month.
Oh,
And
see you in a
that's
couple months.
expensive. That's expensive for here.
Is it really?
That's cheaper. Yes. If you don't want to live as close to the beach, or if that doesn't matter to you, there's much cheaper. You can find things as low as, $450, $500 a month.
Safe area, you feel?
Yeah, I feel safe, especially in my little complex, because there's security and it's gated. So
Okay.
they have to pass by the gate to get it. Anybody has to pass by. So for the most part, I feel safe. I still put the bars on my windows because you never know. And I'm on the first floor, so a little more precaution, and I'm sleeping better at night.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, I feel pretty safe.
Yeah, I'd say listen to the Swipe Wrong podcast, not true crime podcast. That would probably be better for you too.
Exactly.
Just go there. So you sat there up in Canada for a while, Toronto, beautiful city, wonderful area. Granted, the winters are what the winters are. I've been there a few times, and I mean, it's an awesome city. I can understand you getting out. So what was dating life like up there? And said, you know what, I got to get out of here.
Oh, dating life.
Look, I don't mean to bring up any PTSD, but if I do, the ocean is across the street. You're good. You're good.
Exactly.
You're in a safe place.
Yeah. You know what? I don't even think it matters where you are. Because I've talked to people from all over. We all have similar dating experiences. It's tough out there. It's hard to find somebody you connect with, and internet dating makes it so weird sometimes too, because it almost feels like you're in a catalog or you're selecting from a catalog. I don't know. Those kids at Christmas back in the 80s and 90s where you'd sit with the Sears catalog and you'd search all the things you wanted. I feel like online dating is kind of that. Like, ooh, he seems
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So you just... It's like Forrest Gump. Life is like a box of chocolates. So is dating.
Sure.
You never know what you're gonna get.
No.
Right? Something may look tasty, but it's a little bitter.
There's a surprise filling in there that nobody was counting on.
Exactly. It comes with baggage.
Yeah, for sure. For sure.
So it's whether I was in Toronto, I ended up moving to my hometown, which is a small tourist town about an hour and a half west of Toronto, northwest of Toronto. It didn't matter where I was. It was the same everywhere you went. And, I think it's hard to find people who are genuinely ready to settle down or to make that commitment to put the work in to date properly and to get to know somebody. And I still feel that way now. That hasn't changed my mind. And I think we had a discussion where I thought a while ago to write a book called Diaries of a Dating Queen, because it wasn't just me having some of these experiences. Everybody I knew was like, oh my God, do you know what happened to me? Yeah. Right? It was that constant one up. You'll never believe this. This happened. Because there's some craziness out there. I don't know. Is it the same where you are?
Well, so it's funny, like you mentioned that you were writing, think about writing a book, and then I think I sent back to you. I had somebody on who wrote one called Plenty of Guppies, and she wrote it in verse, and it was great. It's a great episode. She's just got a wonderful way about her, so she was fantastic to talk to. But then like there was somebody else who hit me up in Messenger too, who was saying the same thing. I'm about to write a book about all my experiences too. And I'm thinking, like, I mean, if the Bible is this big, the dating world is gonna, it's gonna be like that.
It's got its own section at Indigo.
Yeah, it is, and I'm approaching. Gosh, I'm approaching 100 episodes of doing this, and I can tell you that what I've learned, like what I see is way different than what I saw when I first started doing the show. People's experiences are entirely different, but it seems like everybody, when they walk into it, it's like the eyes are wide open and like, oh my gosh, I have all these choices, and they're at Golden Corral and they just want to put everything on the damn platter and then have 17 forks and shove them in their face. And then
Yeah.
their 15th time at Golden Corral, they have one plate, one fork, and they're just kind of working their way through. So it's almost like if you're like, hey, how long have you been on the apps? And someone's like, oh, I just got on here. Like, oh, fuck this. All right, you go to your rave and you live your best life, and because like it's gonna be a whole new sensory overload kind of world. And if somebody like just like it really is like in my opinion, and I'm no coach and I don't even claim to be one, but in my opinion, if the approach it goes in negative, the whole everything will come out negative. There's no way. People who listen to the
100.
show, yeah, who listen to the show are gonna get tired of me saying this, but I always say experiences over expectations. And then if you live that way, then the dating world will be much easier for you. Because if you go in and saying, I'm trying to meet my soulmate, you're fucked. That's, I mean,
Yeah.
like, hopefully you do. Don't get me wrong, but don't have that expectation.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And it's going in eyes wide open.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you gotta be ready for anything because you
Yeah.
just never know what's gonna
Yeah.
come rolling down the aisle.
And it may not happen on the first date. It may happen on the third date or fourth date. You know, I've a girl I talked to that on the first date, you know, the guy kissed her and she's a beautiful girl down in Texas and he said, hey, can you do me a favor? She's like, what? She's like, hey, can you do my laundry? And puts the laundry in the back of her car. And she's like, what the fuck? So you know, just weird random shit. You know, third date, a guy pulled a knife on a girl, you know. Another one, somebody faked seizures, you know, over a span of time until the guy figured out that she was actually faking them. So, yeah, there's just, yeah,
Oh
it's
my
you
God.
have to powerless like the beginning. Yeah, there's some episodes there's some you know they're just normal situations where people are lying about their height, which you know, a guy exaggerates about inches all the time, right?
Mhm.
So, you know,
Well,
so it's things
my
like that.
experience is age. And people lie about age a lot.
So tell me about that because I've heard this often, but I want to hear what you I'm going to shut up and listen. How about that?
Well, just from my experience, there were, people on the dating apps who expressed interest and they're saying, they're 46 years old. And I'm looking at their picture going, I would put money down to say you're not 46. Like you look in your 60s. Like I can understand, 5 or 10 years, yeah, you might look young for your age, even 10 years. Like some people do have that ability to look much younger than they are. And also here's another thing. Speaking of pictures, why is it guys can't get a good picture? In the world of selfies, when we have the ability to
Right.
take pictures ourselves, why do most of the pictures on dating apps have these guys with this phone looking up their nostril and I can count their nose
Right.
hairs?
Right.
Or
100%.
they're hiding their face somehow. They've got their sunglasses and cap on, driving a car, or they show me pictures of their car. Like that's gonna matter.
Yeah, totally. Like I let me it's funny you say that because there was it must have been a meme floating around where dude was saying what his age was and it was a current profile and he was taking a picture in New York. And when he was in New York, the background was the two towers. Yeah, those have been down since 2001. So, I mean,
Not a recent picture.
yeah. So you're kind of like going, bro, you totally outed yourself. I mean, like, I
Yeah.
don't imagine it was photoshopped with the internet. You never know. It could have been, but I was just like, come on. But yeah, and then,
Point of
the,
line because it's going to get found out at some point. So
yeah,
is that how you want to start any relationship?
yeah,
Like
totally.
kind of lied on my
And
profile. Like,
a couple of people like have said like they've ran into older guys and they have to put in their minds they have to put in that they're younger to meet younger women and you're just like well that's kind of creepy because what if the younger woman doesn't want to meet the older guy? I mean like, come
that's
on man.
exactly it. Like,
Yeah,
how does that serve anybody to lie about
right.
that? Because it will be found out.
Right, 100%. So and when it does like but intentions are always unique. Like is the intent to date for a relationship, or is the intent to go out to have sex? I mean, then
Yeah,
then
exactly.
if the intent is for sex, then maybe you already got it and they've moved on, and just shows what type of person they may be if they didn't disclose up front, if they just kind of
Right.
nefariously did it. And that's always a scary thing. So that's
Yes.
fun. So tell me about your world. I mean, you have a beautiful microphone in front of you.
Yeah.
Assume you're doing plenty of shows.
I have been actually. It's fun.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. It's good to meet new people and to see what people are up to. And this one caught my eye because I'm like, oh, I have a story.
Yeah.
Um, so I'm assuming we're talking about the story here, right?
Yeah. Roll into it, however you want to roll into it. But I do dig the mic, by the way. That's a nice mic.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you. I had
welcome.
to order it to get it here because it's so open. My condo it's a good size, but it's cavernous. There's not a whole lot
Sure.
creating sound or bouncing sound off
Yeah.
of.
I
Like
hear
it's very
no
echoey.
echo.
So
Yeah, I don't hear any of that. So
okay.
that one
That's
that
why
one
I
did
got
the
the
job.
microphone.
Yeah, it's money. Yeah, I had a good choice.
Woohoo. Okay. So this was years ago, and it was a dating experience that I had online. And I wasn't newly single, but I'd been out of a relationship for probably about 8 months at that point. And I was ready to start dipping my toe back in and, try again. And it was a time in my life that was quite exciting because I was up for a lead role on Broadway in a
Awesome.
musical. And I, as a Canadian, being called to New York to be one of the final three for this lead part, that was a pretty big deal for me. That was like my 4-year-old self was like, yay,
Yeah, shit. That's awesome.
and so this was a really exciting time in my life. And I was a teacher. At the time I was a classroom teacher. So I was maneuvering my classroom and getting called. And so this was my dream. I went to theater school for university. This was like it for me. And so it was an exciting time. And I had met this person online. We had talked a little bit back and forth. We had talked on the phone. And at the time, I wasn't really, I didn't really care if somebody had a profile pic or not. This was my learning lesson. Not that the profile pics can actually tell you a whole lot. And as we just discussed, they can be doctored or it can be from 20 years ago.
Right.
So,
right.
but he didn't have a profile pic and I didn't care. We were getting along. We were having nice conversations and he had wanted us to meet. And he had told me a story that he had been in a serious jet ski accident.
Oh, geez.
And he had gone headfirst into a cement hole.
Oh, damn.
He came close to losing his life as a result. That's a pretty serious injury. So, that's something we talked about. I thought that was nice that he shared that with me and he was vulnerable enough to share that time in his life. And he was a father. He had 2 kids. And that was the first time I was dating somebody with kids. I was young at the time. I didn't have kids. I still don't have kids, but, and so we had agreed to meet for coffee with the possibility of going out for dinner afterwards if that first meeting, that blind date went well. So I always like to arrive early. I like to scope out the situation. I like to grab my coffee or drinks, or like that's just me. I just like to
Yeah, sure.
I like to feel like I'm scoping out my area so that I know what's
Sure.
going on.
Okay.
And so I was waiting and he showed up and recognized me because I had a picture on my profile
Sure.
and he introduced himself. And I was shocked when I looked up to shake his hand because something he didn't tell me in his story about his accident is that he was missing a quarter of his head.
Oh my God.
So, and I don't care, like, to me, it's not about looks. I have, like, my ex-husband, for example, I never thought he was attractive until I started developing feelings for him. And all of a sudden, that changed for me. So I wasn't really a big believer in looks mean everything. But I wasn't expecting, I wasn't expecting that, and I wasn't prepared for it. And there's a bit of shock, no matter who you are.
Right.
Like, and I mean, you could see where his head had hit the cement corner because he was missing his skull in that quarter of his head, and it was literally sunken in like a shelf, and he was missing part of his eye. So
my
it was
goodness.
visible impact, yeah. I was trying not to act shocked because I certainly didn't want to make him
It's a
feel
hell of a poker face.
It was. And I was like, "Ooh, okay." So once I got over that initial shock, I was like, okay, so the shock is over. Now let's, have a chat. Let's see what happens.
Right.
And so we decided to go for dinner. So we went to a restaurant across the street from the coffee shop we were at, and we proceed to sit down. And he's talking about expectations in a relationship, and it was a little bit forward for a first date, but I was like, let's see where he's going with this. So in the communication, he knew I had gone to New York. He knew I had had this audition. I was waiting to hear if I was going to get this part. And out of nowhere, he's like, "You're a fucking liar."
What?
And I was like, I'm what? Like, I thought I misheard him. And he goes, "You're fucking deceitful."
Oh my God.
I was like, please explain. He's like, "You say you want to settle down, but now you're going to go fuck off to New York."
Oh my God.
I was gobsmacked. I was like,
oh my God.
am I seriously hearing this correctly? And he's like, "How dare you say that you want to settle down with somebody and you're just going to go fuck off and have the time of your life in New York City. And, you expect some guy to come, crawling after you."
Oh, God dang.
So I was like, well, I said, "I'd like to think that the right person for me would know that this has been a dream of mine since I was a child, and would think to celebrate that, because New York isn't Africa. It's an hour flight away. Like, it's not far, and it's not
the Dominican Republic, we'll say.
Right? I'm like, oh my God, like, you can drive it in 12 hours. It's not that far.
Right.
I was just so beside myself that this was his reaction. And this was a first date, no less, too.
Oh my God. Wow.
So I thought, okay, so this must be the end of this conversation, but it wasn't. He started putting his finger in my face. He's like,
"No way.
You're bullshit." And he was pointing his finger in my face, and that did it for me.
Sure.
I just said, "This date is over. You've shown me all that I need." And I'm thinking, he had the nerve to call me deceitful, even though I told him about my audition. I told him all of that before meeting him. And I'm like, you forgot to mention you were missing part of your head.
Oh yeah. And like you kind of alluded to it earlier, like just as a courtesy, like, hey, like the shocked look, like I'm sure it's obviously he's worried that if he tells you you're not going to show up, I imagine. But like, I'm like, look, somebody dislocates their finger, I'm like, man, that looks freaky to me. Someone's missing half their head. I'm struggling. I am struggling to hang out. And the fact that you poker faced it and did, that's speaks volumes about you. Let's say that. And then he says, "You're a fucking liar. You're deceitful." Oh my God.
Yelling at me. Like, even the waitress, she looked over at me sort of as a, like, do I need
Like,
to, are you okay? And I sort of
yelled in the restaurant, huh?
Yeah, he was yelling at me. And I thought, oh my. And this was a first date. I was like,
wow.
If it's this tense on the first date,
yeah,
this is why you haven't gone to a second date with other people. If like, I just felt like he had this chip on his shoulder and he was taking out his anger of the world onto me. It was,
Right.
yeah, it was the
Right.
finger in the face that did it to me,
Yeah,
right?
well,
Like,
that's a
he
trigger
get
for so
upset with
many
me,
too. That's a
right?
trigger for
People
so
can have
many.
their opinions. I'm good with that. But when you start invading my space and you start slinging accusations and you know nothing about me, we're just getting to know each other. So
Yeah.
I picked myself up and
Oh,
I said, the
girl,
fight is
that
over. And
sucks. I'm sorry. Like for a lot of reasons, I'm sorry. One, you're connecting, you're vibing. You're like, all right, let's see what happens. And like, like expectations, like we talked about are one thing, but you're still hoping for at least a good time. And then you get in there and you're like, okay, well, never going to go out with somebody who doesn't have a picture again. Like some people, you're just like, all right, maybe he's missing teeth and not half his head. That's a big thing. Jeez.
yeah,
Like love by Braille is a little different. Um, uh, and, and I can't read your head. So, so
let me run my hands through your hair.
through your hair. You're gonna have to do his back. You're gonna have to run your hand down his back for it to run it through his hair. So sorry, I could clown on that. That's one of my but and then to just be so confrontational on a first date too, as opposed to like I mean, so many of us like to live in a gratitude moment as opposed to having a great time with a great person. It was straight like, oh my God, you're gonna be on Broadway? That's awesome. By the way, did you get the part?
No, I didn't. I didn't.
Did you get a part though? Like, were you understudy or anything?
Didn't.
No. Okay.
No, and well, at the time they explained to me too, because this was 2005. So,
Okay.
it was in the time of everybody was super cautious because of 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, for Canadians to come across the border to be on Broadway, it has to be in a lead position.
Sure. Okay.
And to justify getting you a visa. And
Okay.
so it was very disappointing. I was also up for the part in Toronto as well, for
Okay.
the Toronto show. And I didn't get that. And then I got called to New York. So there was a casting director in Toronto at that time. She said to me, she goes, go and show them in New York the biggest mistake they made in Toronto.
That's
It was
awesome.
very sweet. Yeah, it was great. And
Yeah.
I didn't get the part and I'm okay with that, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Obviously it wasn't meant to be, but
Yeah.
the experience was amazing. And, to
That's awesome.
be able to say I got that opportunity, and I auditioned for Bernard Telsey himself. So he's a big
That's
cast
cool.
director for Broadway. And that was exciting for me to call my theater school friends, say, you'll never cast my
Yeah.
audition. So
Life happening for you, not to you, right?
exactly.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. That's really awesome. All right, so let me go back to douchebag. That's awful, by the way. So, like, as awesome as the experience was for possibly getting on Broadway, that's just an awful date. I'm so sorry to hear that. I mean, like, obviously, good thing it was first date, not third date, and all that. But wow, that had to be like, all right, I'm going to stream all 6 seasons of Game of Thrones and not leave my house for a while or something like that.
That was exactly it. And that was
Yeah.
the moment I vowed, there has to be at least a picture, and
Yeah.
not for vanity reasons,
Just see if they have their whole head. Yeah,
issues,
sure.
right?
Yeah.
And it wasn't even so much that he was missing part of his head. It was the fact that he was an asshole. Right? Like,
when asshole is here and missing part of your head is here, that's a real asshole right there. Let me just say.
that's exactly it. I was so beside myself. I could not believe it. Nobody would believe this if I told them. Like, it's just one of those things.
I believe it. I believe it. The shit I've heard, I absolutely believe this. And oh my God. Oh gosh. Was there good dates out there? Tell me you had a good date out there somewhere.
I had what?
A good date out there somewhere.
Oh yes, I had
good,
lovely dates, and I've been fortunate to meet.
Some don't.
And you know what? They don't work out, but I meet some really great, interesting people, and I think that's the expectation we should have. Get out there and just connect with somebody. It's not whether it's going to end up in marriage or like this guy already, for some reason, had us in a full-time relationship, and I was screwing off on him. Like, it was such a bizarre experience with his yelling in my face.
Yeah.
And I was like,
In
"Oh
the
my God."
restaurant, loud yelling in the restaurant to where the waitress was wondering if you were okay. Like
Yeah.
on the first date, on any date. Like, come on, like usually like
Big red flag.
if I'm missing half my head, I'm not trying to draw attention to myself anyway, but that's evidently that didn't come through. Oh my goodness. All
Yeah.
right.
It's
Oh,
unfortunate.
girl. That's unfortunate. That drive me to the Dominican. Well, so would the mail showing up late though, too. Let's be honest. So, oh, the mail's late. I gotta go to the Dominican. Fuck this place.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Um, that's cool. That's cool. Like, thank you for sharing. Like, you mentioned something you're like, I have a story, and I didn't see this one coming. So a lot of times, like, I'll have like, I don't want to know. So yeah, it's an op-ed, but I did not see this one coming. So, oh my goodness. Is there any other ones you want to share? Because I don't want to miss out on anything else. I don't know if anything can top that.
Yeah, I don't know if I have anything that tops that. I mean, I
No,
dated
of course.
somebody and we really clicked, and we spent, 4 or 5 days consecutively together, really getting to know each other. And he left me on a Thursday and then called me, or no, I'm sorry, he left me on a Sunday. I like left my house to go home. He had to go to work and called me the Thursday of that week. Didn't hear from him all week, which I thought was strange, to say, I left your house on Sunday and I went on this date and I want to see where things go with her. I was
Oh
like,
my gosh.
what? We just spent like 5 days together and, connecting, getting to know each other, all this time. And he has since come back into my life. He did
He
reach
saw
out
me,
to me
dude.
and he's like, I was stupid. I'm like, yep.
Yeah, yeah. And now I'm in the Dominican, so take care. Have a good one.
Yep.
Oh
And he was,
man.
can you ever forgive me? Absolutely, I can forgive you, but I won't date you
Yeah,
if that's
absolutely.
what you're insinuating.
Yeah. No, you might do it again, bro. You might spend 5 more days and you're gone
Yeah.
again. So, where can people find you? You have Insta? Yeah, what do you want to, what do you want?
I'm on all the social media, well, most of the social media, because I'm learning there are some ones I've never heard of before, but
Right.
Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. I just started a YouTube channel. I'm actually a grief coach and a psychic medium. So I help people through grief. And I lost my
Awesome.
brother to suicide in 2013.
Oh, goodness.
And I went through a big upheaval. So, I want to show people that they can feel stuck in grief, but I want to show them it is possible, not just to survive it, to thrive. And so my goal is to walk people through that grief journey. And so I just started a YouTube channel called Good Grief,
Oh,
and
nice.
talking about my own story and what that looked like and how messy grief can get and how we lose people unexpectedly, but we also find ourselves in that process. And, not just talking about the doom and gloom of grief. I want to acknowledge that there's a beauty in it as well. There's a growth that happens. Grief is forever. It's a life sentence, but it's something that we grow around and we learn a new normal. And that it's okay to feel joy again, and it's okay to live your life. And that's what got me to the beach, right? I feel like
Yeah,
my
that's fair.
brother's death saved my life in a lot of
Yeah,
ways.
that's awesome. That's fair. Uh, it's heavy. And
Sorry, I didn't mean to bring
no, no,
down.
no, 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 no. Well, Mother's Day today is when we're recording. My mom passed away in 2013. So Mother's Day in 3 days that are hard. Mother's Day, her birthday, and then the day that she passed. Those are 3 days that I'm like, I'm gonna watch Shirley Temple movies and eat M&Ms because that's what she loved to do. I'm not reading a damn romance novel though. You can't sign me up for that. That's not gonna happen. No Danielle Steele up in here.
Oh boy.
Yeah, right. I'm not even that was yeah. So anyway, but yeah, like you learn. So all right, so I'll share my she died in 2013, my grandma died in 2012, my aunt died in 2011. Great grandma died right between all those two, and then went through a divorce. So then you're suffering losses of everything. And
Yeah.
and you go through like the grief cycle. It's the fucking spin cycle on steroids.
Yeah.
So it totally is, and you like it's like it like it, oof. And I think my own opinion, and I know they're there for a reason, but antidepressants I think are the worst thing on the planet. And
Really?
it's just my take because like
Yeah.
it stops it. I felt like it stopped me from figuring out how to get my way out of depression. Like it was almost like a beta blocker. Like you're not going to feel anything. I'm like, all right, I need to feel this. I need to get through it and then figure out what's next. But that was just me. Now,
See, for
what
me, it
people,
stopped me from taking my own life.
well, see, there you go. Like and there's two different, like they're there for a reason, like I said. So that's amazing that it was there for that. Well, then you cycled your way out of it, which is just the most amazing thing on the planet. Like once you get there, you're a block from the beach, So like you're living you work your way through it to live your best life, right?
Yeah. If anything you learn in grief is that life is short, life is fleeting. It can be gone in an instant. And if we don't take the opportunity to do the things we want and to go on that date and to travel to these places we've always wanted to see, well, when are we going to do them then?
Yep.
Right?
No, one of the
Now
things
is the time, not tomorrow.
yeah, one of the things I like to say when it comes to like this topic, this area of conversation is stop acting like you live twice. So if you do that,
Yeah, I love
then you'll be much better off. Like it's like I'll do
Mhm.
that next week. Why? Why are you gonna do it next week? Why wait till January 1st for a New Year's resolution? I'm gonna make a March 15th resolution or something. It's January
Mhm.
1st. It's like God. It's got the cool. It's like the cool kid in class. Come on now.
Exactly. Lead it, don't follow.
Exactly. So Good Grief is your YouTube channel.
It is, yeah.
Is that your Insta too, or what's your Insta?
My Insta is my name, Deva_Neely_.
Okay.
So either you'll find me at Good Grief or Deva Neely.
Okay, perfect. I want to make sure that. Thank you for sharing your story. I appreciate it.
Thank you. This was fun.
Good. I'm glad to put a smile on the face, even though you're like, I can go outside and get one, jerk. You enjoy your cold. Okay.
I can. Let
Okay.
me go. I'll think about this when I'm enjoying a beverage in the pool tomorrow.
You're gonna have to send me a picture
I will.
at the ocean. You're like, jerk. Thank you for being along for the ride on the Swipe Wrong podcast. The show is produced by Jay Pelham. You want to reach out to us? We want to hear your story. 317-426-6616. Make sure to text, leave a voicemail. We'll get back to you. Shoot us an email at swipewrongpod@gmail.com. We are on Facebook, Insta, Twitter, YouTube. We are definitely out there. I am the host of the show. My name is Chaos. And please make sure to take a listen to us next week because the saga, it continues.